creatures and all living beings. This is Muhammad Ashraf. My father's name is Mr. Anwar Siddiqui and my mother's name is Mrs. Asma Banu. I'm a part of class 9 in Sterling School. Today I am given an opportunity to revise a chapter known as body fluids and circulation. Do you know guys, in our body, if we want to know about our bones, so we have to study the skeletal system. And if we want to know about our nerves, so we have to study the nervous system. But if we want to know the process of getting energy by our body, then we have to study the digestive system as well as biomolecules. Same, if we want to know the process of distribution of this energy to each and every cells of our body, then we have to study body fluids and circulation. Now a question arises that how many types of fluids are there in our body? So let me tell you, there are basically two kinds of fluids in our body, that are blood and lymph. They both are vascular connective tissue. Now let's talk about them in brief in a gradual way. So firstly, let's talk about the blood. Blood is a mobile connective tissue. It comprises of blood plasma and the blood capsules. The process of blood formation takes place in bone marrow, and this process is called as homeopoiesis. And if I am going to take the value in our body, then blood is 5 to 6 liters in males and 4 to 5 liters in female. Now let's talk about the second lymph, that is lymph. Lymph is a mobile connective tissue that comprises of lymph plasma and the lymph capsules. Okay, by knowing the lymph plasma and the lymph capsules, I have a question, that how lymph plasma is different from the blood plasma, as they both have the same name, plasma. So what is the difference between them? Who would like to explain me that how lymph plasma is different from the blood plasma? Yes, Rusa, you please.
Thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Good morning, Ashur and all my lovely mates. This is Rusa Anwar. As you have asked the difference between lymph and blood plasma, so my answer is that lymph and blood plasma are similar to each other, but blood plasma has more protein, calcium and phosphorus. Thank you.
Yeah, you are absolutely right that lymph plasma is different from blood plasma because it has less protein, less calcium and less phosphorus as compared to the blood plasma. But it has high glucose concentration level if we are going to compare it by the blood plasma. Now one more question is that how lymph capsules are different from the blood capsules. Who would like to reply? Yes, Rusa, as you are very eager to reply, so just please, again.
Thank you again for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So as you have asked that how lymph capsules are different from blood capsules. So the lymph capsules consist of only WBCs, while the blood capsules has both RBCs and WBCs.
Okay. As you have pronounced that blood capsules contains RBCs and WBCs, and one more component is there, that is blood platelets. So let's talk about them one by one. Before talking about them, I would like to explain about the blood plasma. The liquid part which comprises of our blood is called as matrix part, and that matrix part is called as plasma, which contributes 55% in our blood. And do you know one shocking factor about it, that it is 95% made up of water and the rest part is contributed by the protein. Okay, let me tell you the name of those proteins which contributes in the blood plasma. That are albumins, globulins and fibrinogen. These are the three proteins that contributes as a plasma protein. Now let's talk about the blood capsules in brief. Firstly, the red blood capsules, which is also known as erythrocytes, they are enucleated, or we can say non-nucleated, so that they can store more hemoglobin in it. Now here a term comes, that is hemoglobin. Who would like to explain me that what is hemoglobin? Yes, Usman, you please.
Thank you for the great chance. Good morning, respected sir and all present here. This is Usman Hafiz. Today my question is, what is hemoglobin? According to me, hemoglobin is composed of two components, hem and globin. Hem, adenine porphyrin 5%, globin 95% protein part. These are responsible for the red color of the RBC.
Yes, Usman, you are absolutely right that these are responsible for the red color of our red blood cells, or we can say as erythrocytes. So let me tell you the numbers, how much quantity they have in our blood. So the hemoglobin which is present in a healthy adult is between 12 to 16 grams in every 100 ml of our blood. Now let's talk about the number of RBCs. In a healthy adult man, or I can say that an healthy adult man has on average of 5 million to 5.5 million RBCs per millimeter cube of blood, and this process of counting is termed as the RBC count. Now, as I have pronounced that there is a certainty of numbers in RBCs that is between 5 million to 5.5 million. So due to the increase or decrease in their quantity, some diseases may occur in our body. Let's talk about those diseases one by one. Firstly, the polycythemia. It refers to the abnormal rise in RBC count, and the second disease, that is erythrocytopenia, it refers to the decrease in RBC count, as it is the role of RBC to supply oxygen to each and every cells of our body. So in this condition, our body will feel the shortage of oxygen in our blood cells as well as in our blood tissue. Now the third disease that is very common, termed as anemia. Less amount of hemoglobin leads to anemia. Now let's talk about the second blood clot cells, that is WBCs, or known as leukocytes. They are nucleated and relatively lesser in number, which averages 6,000 to 8,000 per millimeter cube of blood. Their formation takes place in bone marrow and they are short-lived. Who would like to tell me that what is the actual lifespan of WBC? Who would like to tell me that what is the lifespan of WBC? Yes, Noor, you please.
Thank you for this great chance. Good morning, sir, and all present here. Today my question is, what is the lifespan of WBC? The answer is less than 10 days.
Yeah, you are absolutely right that they are short-lived and has a lifespan of less than 10 days. Now, as I have been teaching you about the WBC, so I have one question, that what are the types of WBCs and on which behalf they have been categorized? Who would like to tell me? Yes, Vivek, you please.
Good morning, Ashur. As we know that WBC have granules on their cytoplasm. Due to this, there are two types of WBC, agranulocytes and granulocytes.
Okay, you are absolutely right that on the basis of granules that are present in their cytoplasm, they have been categorized. And there is the further category of this category also. Let me tell you that. Firstly, talk about the granulocytes. Granulocytes have been divided into three parts, that are acidophils, which is also known as eosinophils, second one basophils, and the third one is neutrophils. Let's talk about their function one by one. Firstly, let's talk about the acidophils. Acidophils are responsible for the protection of our body from the allergic infection. Their number may increase in our body. Yes, from the increasement of eosinophil, I have a question that in which condition the number of eosinophils may increase in our body. Would like to tell me? Yeah, yes, you please.
Thank you for asking me such a nice question. Good morning, respected sir and all present here. What are the, as you asked that, what are the allergic infections through which eosinophils increases? Some allergic infections increases the number of eosinophils, and that are asthma and hay fever.
Yeah, you are absolutely right that asthma and hay fevers are those allergic infections which increases the number of eosinophils in our body. Now, let's talk about the function of basophils. Basophils are responsible for the transportation as well as the secretion of histamine, heparin, and the serotonin. Now, let's come to the function of neutrophils. Neutrophils are termed as the micropoliceman of our body. They are responsible for the removing of damaged cells from our blood. Now, let's talk about the second segment, that is agranulocytes. Agranulocytes is divided into two parts, that is monocytes and the lymphocytes. Let's talk about their function one by one. Firstly, the monocyte. Monocyte is termed as macropoliceman. It is also called as scavengers of blood because they engulf, damage, and the debris cells from our blood cells. Now, next function is lymphocyte. Lymphocyte, as Urusa has pronounced that, lymphocytes are responsible for the immune responses of our body. So, how many categories they have to respond such kind of activity in our body? Who would like to tell me? Yes, Ayan, you please.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Good morning, respected sir and all present here. This is Muhammad Ayan. As you have asked the question, what are the types of lymphocytes? As Urusa has mentioned, that lymphocytes are responsible for immune response of our body. This process involves two types, T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. T lymphocyte directly kill microbes and T is killer and suppression. B lymphocyte produces and transports antibodies.
Yes, you are absolutely right. The kind of information which you have given here is absolutely right about the types of lymphocytes. You may say. Now, the next point that I have pronounced that there is a certainty of number in WBCs also, that is between 6,000 to 8,000 per millimeter cube of blood. So due to the deficiency or increase in their number, some diseases may also occur. That are leukocytosis, leukocytopenia, and the leukemia. Let's talk about them. So firstly, the leukocytosis. Leukocytosis refers to the increase in WBC, or I can say that it refers to the increase in TLC, because WBCs can be measured in the numbers of TLC. Now the second disease, that is leukocytopenia. It refers to the decrease in TLC count. Yes, Kainat, are you having any question?
Yes, Ashur, I have the one question. do the TLC decreases in leukocytopenia to invary every bacterial and viral infection? TLC generally increases.
You have asked a very nice question. That is, in the leukocytopenia, though in every bacterial and viral infection it generally increases. So my simple answer is that there is an exception here. There are two viral infections, that are typhoid and AIDS, in which our TLC is going to be decreased. Now, the next disease, that is leukemia. Leukemia refers to the abnormal increase in WBC count. And one more thing, before ending the topic of WBC, I would like to tell you that neutrophils, which is a type of WBC, is the most numerous in number, and monocytes are the largest among them. And now let's talk about the third blood clot cells, that is blood platelets. Blood platelets, also known as thrombocytes, they are enucleated as like RBC and composed of, and their maximum part is composed of contractile protein known as thrombocyte. On average, a healthy adult has 1.5 lakh to 3.5 lakh platelets per millimeter cube of blood, and it has the lifespan of around 7 to 10 days. And if I talk about the function of thrombocytes, or I can say blood platelets, so their main function is to prevent the excess loss of blood from our body by doing the blood clotting if we are going to have any injury in our body. Now, as I have said that they also have a certainty of number, so definitely some diseases will occur due to the increase or decrease in their quantity. And what are those diseases? Let's talk about them. Firstly, the thrombocytopenia. Who would like to explain me that what is thrombocytopenia? Yes, Kana, you please.
Thank you for this great chance. A very fine pleasant morning to my respected sir and all living beings. As you asked that, what is thrombocytopenia? So thrombocytopenia is a disease. It decreases in number of blood platelets. And when our skin is injured, blood platelets clump together to form a clot to stop bleeding. But in the presence of thrombocytopenia, bleeding doesn't stop. It becomes fatal for the patient if it is not treated.
Okay, you are absolutely right. The kind of information which you have given related to thrombocytopenia is absolutely right. Now the next disease, that is purpura disease. Who would like to tell me that what is purpura disease? Okay, I know you know all, but let me also tell some diseases. That is firstly purpura disease. I would like to tell that the critical count of blood platelets. Blood platelets has a critical count, that is 40,000 per millimeter cube of blood. If their number is going to be less than this count, then definitely red rashes will appear on our skin, and this disease is termed as purpura disease. Or I can say that this condition is termed as purpura disease. Now, the next disease, that is thrombocytopenia. Would like to explain me that what is thrombocytopenia? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Good morning, respected sir, and all of you. As you asked me that what is thrombocythemia? So thrombocythemia refers to high platelet count that is not caused by another health condition. It is primary and essential thrombocythemia. It can be caused by recovering from recent injury, recovering from blood loss after surgery, recovering from drinking and vitamin B12 deficiency.
You are absolutely right, Mama. As we have pronounced that it is primary or necessary for our body. My question is that, as she has pronounced that thrombocythemia is the primary as well as essential for the clotting of blood, as well as many functions which she has explained, like recovering from the recent injury. So my question is that, is there any disease that is not essential for our body and it can be called as reactive disease? Anyone know the name of that? No? Okay, let me tell you. It is termed as thrombocytosis. It is also refers to the high platelets count, but it is caused by another health condition such as cancer, infection and inflammatory disorder. And it can be termed as secondary and the reactive thrombocytosis. Now, before moving ahead in my chapter, I would like to ask you all a very general question. Suppose that we are going to make any plan and we have a leader, or we can say that center point to execute that plan. Do you agree with this statement or not?
Yes.
Definitely. So, which kind of center point we are having in this chapter? That is body fluids and circulation. So, according to my opinion, I would like to call heart as the center point of this chapter. So, let's talk about the human heart. What is human heart? It is the most powerful organ in our body, and it is mesodermally bright organ. And it has a size of clenched fist and has a weight of over 300 grams. And it is protected by a double layered bag called as pericardium. The narrow cavity that is present between this cavity is called as pericardial cavity, and the fluid that is present in this cavity is termed as pericardial fluid. Now a question arises that from where pericardial fluid is secreted. So answer is that the pericardium, which is the double bag or the, I can say, protective layer of heart, that secretes the pericardial fluid to protect our heart from rubbing to the other organs. It protects our heart by not providing friction. Now a question arises that what is the part or what is the anatomy of a heart? Before telling the anatomy of heart, I would like to ask a question that where is heart located? What is the location of heart? Who would like to tell me? Yes, Mark, you please.
Thank you, sir, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Good morning, Inspector Sir, ma'am, and all the mates. As you have asked the question, where heart is located. So, heart is located in the middle cavity of the chest, between the lungs, and the center is on about 1.5 centimeter to the left side of the chest.
Okay. The location which you have told is absolutely right about the heart. Now let's talk about the anatomy of a heart, or I can say that parts of heart. So to understand the anatomy or the parts of heart, let's consider our heart as a building. Building has walls, building has plumbing pipes to supply water, buildings have the electrical conduction system to run all the electrical impulses, electrical appliances, and the most important thing, that is the entry of the building, that is their gate. You will means thinking that why I am creating such kind of complexity here. Let me explain about the anatomy of heart, then definitely you will relate this statement with that. Firstly, the heart also has the walls, as I was explaining regarding the building. And the heart walls is a muscular wall that is responsible for the flowing of myocardium and the epicardium. What is endocardium? It is the inner layer of the heart. Myocardium, the muscular and the middle layer of the heart, is termed as myocardium. And if I talk about the epicardium, so it is the outer protective layer of our heart. Is anyone having any doubt? Yes, Umar, you please.
Thank you for this great chance. Good morning, Inspector Sir, respected teachers. This is Mohammed Umar standing before you. Ashar, my question is to you. As you told that we should have text or regular information about. Can you say about this?
Okay, as you have asked that, I have told about the heart walls. There is one more term, that is septum. Okay, let me explain you about that. Septum is a muscular layer that divides our heart between the right atrium and the left atrium, as well as the right ventricle and the left ventricle. Is called as septum. You may sit down. Now the next point, that is the conduction system. Who would like to explain me the conduction system of human heart? Yes, Rusa, you please.
Thank you, Ashwin, for giving me a wonderful opportunity again. As you have asked that, what does the conduction system of heart consist of? So, the conduction system of heart consists of the sinoatrial node, the atrioventricular node, the bundle of his, the left and right bundle branches, and the Purkinje fibers.
Okay, as you have said that these are the parts that are responsible for the conduction system in our heart. So, can you explain them briefly?
Thank you, Ashwin, for giving me this chance. The sinoatrial node, also called pacemaker, is responsible for generation of electricity in heart. The atrioventricular node is responsible for the passage of that conduction system. Okay, and the left and right bundle branches, along with Purkinje fibers, these are responsible for the contraction of ventricles.
Yeah, you are absolutely right that this point should be highlighted, that contraction of ventricle is due to the contraction of Purkinje fibers. Now, the next point and the most important point, that we know that what is the function of heart? Before telling my next topic, I want to know that what is the function of heart. Yes, Umar, you please.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. The function of heart is to pump blood through our from body.
Okay, as you have said that our heart function is to pump blood throughout our body. So, who would like to explain me that circulation of blood in our heart? Yes, Ifa, you please.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Good morning, Ashwin, and all of you. As you have asked me the question, the circulation of blood in our heart. So firstly, impure blood from all parts of body reaches into the right atrium, that is the first chamber of our heart, by superior and the inferior vena cava. And then impure blood from right atrium reaches into the right ventricle by tricuspid wall. As its name is tricuspid, this is made up of three cups. Now impure blood from right ventricle reaches into the lungs by pulmonary artery. As we know that arteries are circular vessels that carries pure blood, but the pulmonary arteries are such arteries which carry deoxygenated blood from heart to the lungs. And in the lungs, blood purified. Now, into the lungs, the vena cavity, the pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium. As we know that pulmonary veins carry deoxygenated blood, but Pulmonary vein are such blood vessels which carry oxygenated blood from lungs to the heart. Now, pure blood from left atrium reaches into the left ventricle by bicuspid wall. That is named as bicuspid. It's made up of two cups. Now the last stage, that is the aorta. We know that is the largest artery of our body. So now the aorta carries pure blood from left ventricle to all parts of body. Thank you so much.
Ifa, thank you for this auspicious information. As she has pronounced about the chambers of heart as well as the blood vessels which are related in the circulation of heart. Now did you get that why I have having the archive of the two topics that were blood vessels as well as the chambers, because I was aware about that she will explain the chambers as well as the blood vessels. But she forget to mention one thing, or I can say that it is not included there, that's why she does not mention that. That is capillaries. Capillaries are such blood vessels that are responsible for the exchange of material between the arteries and the veins. Whether it is a pure material or I can say that good material or it is the metabolic waste, they are responsible for the exchange of both the materials. Now, before ending my topic, I would like to ask some more questions related to human heart. So, let's begin. My first question is that related to a disease that is very common in nowadays, that is blood circulation problem in our heart. So that leads to basically two diseases that are hypertension and the hypotension. Who would like to explain me that what is hypertension and hypotension? Yes, Faraz, you please.
Thank you for this great chance. A very pleasant morning to my respected sir and respected ma'am. So as you have asked question, what is hypertension and hypotension? These diseases related to our heart and blood circulation. Before telling these diseases, I want to aware you about our normal blood pressure, that is 120/80 mmHg. So, when our blood pressure higher than normal blood pressure is called as a hypertension, and when our blood pressure lower than normal blood pressure is called as a hypertension, in which both are injurious or dangerous for our health. Thank you.
Very good, Faraz. As you have pronounced that, or you have differentiated about the hypertension and the hypotension, you may sit now. Now, the next question, it is also related to disease and it is very common, or I can say that the first disease which we are going to listen in India about the heart, that is heart attack, or I can say that myocardial infarction. So, would like to explain me that what is heart attack and what is the reason behind its occurrence. Yes, Umar, you please.
Thank you for again opportunity. As we know that it is very common diseases in the world and it has been occurring globally. The percentage of heart attack in the world is 25%. Now the question arises how it's occur. A blockage of blood flow to the heart muscles is called heart attack.
Yeah, you are absolutely right that the blockage of blood vessels leads to the heart attack. You may sit now. Now the next disease that is related to the coronary artery. Here a question arises that what is coronary artery? It is such an artery which supplies blood to heart itself, because our heart is a muscular organ and it also needs blood. So my question is that the disease which is related to coronary artery is termed as coronary artery disease. My question is that what is coronary artery disease? Who would like to explain? Yes, sorry, please.
Thank you, Ashur, for giving me a wonderful chance again. The coronary artery disease is such a disease which blocks the passage of arteries by the distribution of cholesterol in it. So, after the distribution of cholesterol in the arteries, it blocks the passage for blood, and when the blood doesn't reach to the heart, it leads to the disease termed as coronary artery disease.
You are absolutely right. You may sit now. Now the next disease, that is congestive heart failure. As its name is congestive heart failure. So definitely in this disease the congestion of our heart take place, or I can say that heart is going to be congested due to the lungs. And in this condition our heart is unable to supply the blood to some vital organs that are brain and kidney. This disease is termed as congestive heart failure. Now, as I have pronounced about some diseases, and these diseases were all related to the blood circulation problem. But the kind of electrical disease we can have is termed as cardiac arrest. So who would like to explain me that what is cardiac arrest? Yes, Umar, you please.
Thank you for again opportunity. When the heart contractions and suddenly stop beating unexpectedly are called cardiac arrest.
Okay. You are absolutely right that when our heart muscles suddenly stop beating unexpectedly is termed as cardiac arrest. Now, as I have been telling you about the disease, so it's my responsibility to tell you that what should be the precautions so that we could not have such diseases in our body. First, the most important thing is we should have tests on the regular basis so that we can know the condition of our each and every body parts. I am not talking about only heart, because we should have the test of kidney as well as the vital organs that are present in our body. We should have the test of those organs in a regular basis. Now the second most important thing, that if we are getting any kind of uncomfort feeling due to the some symptoms or signs that can happen, so we should have the treatment of that disease very soon. So who would like to tell me that what are the common signs and symptoms that tells us that our heart is not functioning properly? Who would like to tell? Yes, ma'am, you please.
Thank you, sir, for giving me again wonderful opportunity. There are many common signs and symptoms of heart diseases like chest pain, sweating, upper body pain, trouble in breathing, dizziness, and many more.
Yeah, pronounced is absolutely right, but there are some more kind of symptoms which will also tell us that our heart is not functioning properly. So now the next thing which I was pronouncing, the most important thing, that was we should have the test on a regular basis. So here a question arises that which kind of test is made for our heart. So let me name some of them, that are electrocardiogram, echocardiogram, chest x-ray, as well as MRI of heart, and the most new important thing, that is cardiac catheterization, are the name of tests which will tell the condition of our heart. At last, I want to say thanks to my respected sir for giving me such a beautiful chance to represent this chapter. Thank you so much, sir.